If a band is sufficiently ambitious, they will almost inevitably try to push the boundaries of the album format, whether by doing a double or triple album, or by doing interesting things with production. Sometimes these albums work and are acclaimed as sublime masterpieces by critics and fans alike, but often artists end up biting off more than they can chew with these albums, exceeding the talents of those involved and producing clunky messes of albums that are often seen in retrospect as complete embarrassments to everyone involved in their production. And I am proud to announce a series beginning today discussing these albums. Not all the albums we will be talking about in this series will be bad, but they will all be overblown in their own way. And that brings us to Oasis. Back in the 90s, when Britpop was insanely popular, Oasis were pretty much the kings of the genre. In terms of commercial success, I've always preferred Blur, but that doesn't really have any bearing on this review. In any case, by 95, they had pretty much decisively beaten Blur in the Battle of the Britpop, the moronic little popularity contest that ensued in 1995 between the two bands, which ended in defeat for Blur when their album, The Great Escape, was decisively beaten by Oasis's What's the Story, Morning Glory. This victory was also helped by the fact that Oasis, who borrowed more from the Beatles, T-Rex and the Rolling Stones, managed to break America, whereas Blur, like their stylistic predecessors, The Jam and The Kinks, pretty much totally failed to make any kind of impact over here, and are basically a one-hit wonder band in America, because they wouldn't get famous until song number 2 in 97. Oasis then spent the majority of 1996 touring before going into the studio at the end of the year to prepare their third studio album. The sessions for the album were characterized by constant squabbling amongst the band and rampant drug use, which, accompanied by Liam Gallagher's decision that the album would have a colossal sound, is the reason that the album is generally regarded as being horrifyingly overproduced. The album came out in August of 97 and was initially very well received. British music press in particular showered the album in adulations, fearing a repeat of what happened in 1995 when they gave What's the Story, Morning Glory lukewarm reviews, after which the album went on to become the highest seller of the entire year. However, critical and public opinion swiftly soured on the album, and in retrospect the album is often seen as the point where Britpop died and Oasis, drunk on their own arrogance and self-importance, finally lost it. And so almost 20 years after its release, we're going to go back and see if Be Here Now really is the unmitigated disaster it's often stated to be. And the opening song is a perfect example of exactly what I'm talking about when I say this album is ridiculously overblown. Not only are the intros and outros each almost a minute long, when you actually get into the main body of the song, it's ridiculously overproduced. There's gotta be, 30, 40 guitar tracks at least on here, and it just comes at you like a brick wall. I really like the intro to this song. It has this sort of explosive, driving energy and really feels like something you would have heard from The Who back in the day. The main body of the song suffers from all the same production problems as the rest of the album, which is a shame because when you listen to it, it's not a bad song. It's just horrifically overblown. Oh, thank God, it lasts some subtlety and restraint. Well, not for long. The main part of the song is just as overproduced as the rest of the album, but that intro was a breath of fresh air. And thankfully the rest of the song uses it a little more tastefully than the rest of the album does. I could definitely see why somebody wouldn't like this song. It is very much the cliche, sappy, romantic ballad, but I like it. Production is more tasteful, and unlike the vast majority of this album, it doesn't overstay its welcome. It knows when to stop. I don't dislike this song either. Again, shorter than the rest, which is merciful, and as just an aggressive little Oasis song about romantic relationships, it's fine. I like this song alright, but I do get kind of bored with it after a while. It doesn't suffer from the production problems that almost everything else on here suffers from, but when I think of generic Oasis, I think of something pretty close to this. This song isn't bad, but like almost everything else on here, it overstays its welcome. After an almost minute-long intro, we get into a cool, vaguely bluesy piece, which, big surprise, references the Beatles at one point, although the lyrics are just as meaningless as every other Oasis song. One of the very few songs of a reasonable length on this album, Don't Go Away, is actually one of my favorites here. And that's weird. This is an Oasis album, and yet the sappy, overblown love ballads are my favorite thing on here. Title track isn't bad. I do like the song, but at this point I'm just so numb to it all that I really can't be bothered to say much of anything about it. All Around the World isn't bad, but dear lord is it too long. It's probably the most overtly Beatlesque thing on the album, which is interesting. Oasis get accused of being Beatles knockoffs a lot, but I've honestly always gotten more of a Rolling Stones T-Rex vibe from them. Here, it's obvious that they were going for a Hey Jude thing. Now, if you people will excuse me, I've got to go take care of some stuff. So you see, in 1972, Ray Davies decided...
Geez, do you ever shut up?
So anyway, I'm back now, and... oh my god, is the song still going? I actually like this song quite a bit. I think it's one of the better tracks on here, but I would like it a whole hell of a lot more if it wasn't 7 minutes long. Why does this need to be 7 minutes long? This is just a normal Oasis track. There's no reason that this should be more than 4 minutes long. This is just a bombastic, over-the-top orchestral reprise of All Around the World. And I like it, but truth be told, I'm just happy that the album's ending. This album is okay. I don't love it, but I don't hate it either. There's some damn good stuff on here, but a lot of it is torpedoed by the production. Everything on here is overdubbed to the moon, and so you have this gigantic, overbearing, like, brick wall of a sound. And so Be Here Now is a very tiring listen for that reason. And that's even ignoring the fact that the album is over 70 minutes long, and I swear, every single song on here is at least 2 minutes longer than it should be. Now, I will give Oasis some credit. I respect the ambition. They obviously wanted this album to be something special relative to the first two Oasis albums. That much is apparent just by looking at the artwork, which is reminiscent of many of the wonderful artsy album covers from back in the day. And it's too bad that the band weren't able to make the classic album that they wanted to produce. As I said, I don't hate this album, but when I want to listen to Oasis, I'll pick up definitely Maybe or What's the Story, Morning Glory, and leave this one alone for the most part. Unless I want something that is just so comically overdone that you have to laugh at it. And oddly enough, in my opinion, that's this album's main redeeming characteristic. If you're like me, albums like this are amusing by sheer dint of how overblown they are. Now granted, this is at the bottom of the list and opening up the series primarily because it's basically just an overproduced 90s album. 90s albums that are 20 minutes longer than they should be are a dime a dozen, and it's mostly the overproduction that makes this one special. The other albums we will be talking about in this series are on a whole different level of overblown from this. Hi guys, welcome back for a little bit of shilling at the end. If you want to read lots of text reviews by some very talented people, I highly recommend you visit tomymostalass.wordpress.com. I'll put the link in the description. Check it out. You'll be able to see some of my videos on there, although you're already on my YouTube, so I don't know why you'd watch any of my videos on that site, but check it out. They've got some good stuff there.